Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Josie's Collectibles. I'm here with the co-host Jay Cards, and today we're actually gonna relive episode two, Disaster, because of the internet, and finish off of where we left off. And right now we want to talk about our baby, which is the hobby circuit. That is our business. That is the bread and butter. That's what keeps the lights going, and that is the hustle that we have created. So, further ado, Josh is going to go ahead and speak on a little bit of topics and bullet points of the hobby circuit. Go ahead, take it, Josh.
Yep. For those of you who maybe didn't watch episode 1 or our disaster of episode 2, the hobby circuit is our card show, and hopefully it'll grow into even like a convention type status where we have way more than just a card show. But today we're going to kind of talk about the behind the scenes of what it takes to run a card show, things that we didn't expect coming into it, like extra expenses or how hard certain things were to do. I guess we could start from where everything began, and that was just what it takes to create a business in general. I know for you, you did a lot of the behind the scenes for getting the LLC going and everything that was required. I don't know if you want to talk about that
Yeah.
or how you want to do that.
Yeah. So, for you guys that want to think about one day starting a business, starting LLC, starting a DBA, there's paperwork involved. It is time consuming and grueling if you want to fill it out on your own. But if you don't have any confidence, because you never, it's not every day people open up businesses. I mean, I'm sure there is, but like an average person, it can be scary, right?
Mhm.
This one box you can check can screw everything up, right? And the best way for Josh and I coming back from, not starting a business before, I have started a couple businesses in my early years, and we use an agency. We pay agency. In this case, we use Zen Business, not sponsored the show whatsoever. So I'll go ahead and plug them because we want to be transparent on is how our journey is going. Zen Business is really easy. It's a nice real tool for the average person that doesn't want to go ahead and do you know, a lot of the back breaking or the heavy lifting. And also too, there's also licensing. There's sales permits, there's event licensings, there's insurance, and Zen Business takes care of all that for you. Also, that being said, there's additional fees. So it's not a one-time fee. There's a lot of fees going across the board here. I think, Josh and I were kind of naive in the event space. We thought it was easy. You get a room, get some vendors, how hard it can be,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you know, how hard it can
Yeah.
be.
Like,
We go to shows.
what is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
What's
we
that?
don't
What's
come
that
from,
saying? It's if it was easy, everybody could do it. You know what I mean?
yes,
That's what we thought. That's what we literally thought it was going to be.
we don't come from a planning background or education of event planning. So, you got two dudes that like sports, is doing all the planning. So that's an eye opener to get organized, to meet people and get sponsorships and people to pay for the venue. And that's a lot. And guess what, guys? If you don't raise enough money for the tables or sponsorships, the money needs to come somewhere and it comes out of the business. So, as a lot of people know, businesses run off of money. I say this all the time. This is the hustle part. It runs off money. Josh runs basically our social media. Everything that you see, content relating, marketing, that's all this guy. Josh is this a one man army switch knife, dude. You know what I mean? He's good. All the, I say the logistics and the admin and paperwork that, I cover that in, and all the sponsorship deals. Me and Josh, we tag team that because, that's where both of us come in. But when you have a business with two people, that's better than one. Does Josh have his own ideas? Yeah, of course. Do I have my own ideas? Yes, I do. But as in two men coming together and agreeing on each other's ideas, even better. Divide and conquer. There's times that Josh goes to these meetings without me. Yo, I'm in a different meeting without Josh. I'm busy. I'm a husband and father. Same with Josh. He has his own businesses that he runs on as well outside of the hobby circuit. I do too. So, partner up. If partner up with somebody that you enjoy partnering up with, and that understands the game of business. You know, when it's all said and done, if this goes
Mm.
belly up, there's a great chance that me and Josh will still be good friends, and this is the chance we take. Is there anything you want to add to that, Josh?
No, I mean, I think you said it pretty good. One thing that I would say too that kind of helps going in with a business partner is if you don't have, like, let's say you didn't have another business that you started, that you have all this money, or like you're not Donald Trump where your dad gives you $1 million and says, "Hey, figure it out." Like, going in with another person, you split the expenses, which can make it a lot cheaper to get stuff done. I mean, ultimately, it still kind of sucks because it's coming out of your own pocket when you first start out. But I'll just say, if it wasn't us two, I don't think I would have had enough money to start this on my own. Like, the amount of extra expenses that you just don't even think of and plan for, and this is just for a card show. This isn't like, I couldn't imagine what it would be like to start your own, like, clothing business or start your own things that have more regulations on it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't use certain materials, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like that alone, it's ridiculous. So I think that's another big factor in going in with business partners is it's just a lot cheaper on both people. But I would say maybe the hardest part that you're going to have is if you don't pick the right business partner, as you said. It could be a lot of headbutting, a lot of back and forth, a lot of arguments, I guess. Like, so you definitely want to make sure the person you pick as your business partner is somebody that you can get along with and that you can, like, communicate well with. That even if it's something that, like, let's say I like the idea, but Joe doesn't like the idea, we have a way to deal with that. So that way neither of us are getting angry at each other.
And then, like Josh said, communicate, man. Communicate is the key. That is the number one key in any relationship with your spouse, with a business partner, with friends, is communication. You know, if there's an idea I come with and Josh is like, nope, I don't like it, or, you know, vice versa. We explain why we don't like it, or it's not the right timing for it. Not necessarily this is the right time for this show, but maybe down the future. Also, too, is egos need to be aside, dude. I tell it, if you have an ego and your partner has an ego, man, that good luck, guys. Good luck.
Yeah.
If you think you're the star of the show,
I'll think about you.
if you right, if you think you're the star of the show, good luck, dude. You know, I think I'm fortunate enough to have Josh that has no ego. If he did, I couldn't tell because guy's
Yeah.
humble. The guy's the most humblest guy I ever met. You know, I'm sure. You know, I heard it. You know, there's a couple of people in that room that can't hold water.
That is very true. They're like a laundry basket, as I've heard.
But like I said, man, if you pick a partner and he has an ego and he thinks or she thinks that they're the ones that got this far, it's not gonna last, man. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
Or if it does, like, how fun is it really going to be? You know what I mean? Like, is it
Mhm.
worth it at that point? But who knows? I mean, some people might enjoy that. That I don't enjoy it, but
I don't enjoy it
I
either.
don't think I know very many people who would. Yeah.
I mean, that's just crazy. At that point, I'll probably be a silent partner. You're like, all right, man, you can
Yeah.
dig it.
I'll be
I'll
like,
just be, I'll be a silent
you know what?
partner.
I'll just be a sponsor at that. Yeah, I'll be a sponsor at that point. Just throw me on your website. But that's
But I still own the half. I still own the half.
yeah. And then talking about websites, that's another thing that I didn't even really think about as far as another expense. I mean, it's not terribly. So before this, so I joined the military. I was in there as for medicine. I was a Navy corpsman. When I got out, I was like, you know what, medicine. Like, I like some of the aspects. I don't like some of the aspects. I kind of lean more towards technology. So then I went and was trying to, not trying to. I was getting my degree in dang, dude, I think I just had a stroke. I was getting a degree in software engineering. And so I was like creating websites. I was doing all the fun stuff when you first learn how to code, right? And I don't know. I guess if anything, if I ever had an ego on anything, I had an ego on these, like, Squarespace or like whatever else that where you just can create these websites with no issues whatsoever. I was like, nah, you need to learn how to code. You need to do it on your own, like blah, blah, blah. I will say Squarespace, dude, we use that for our website. It literally took me maybe like an hour and a half to get that thing up and running and to have everything that we need for it. Like, and it's 30 once again, not a plug. We're not sponsored by Squarespace, but it took me like it's $36 a month to host your website on there. You can make any changes you want. And then it was like another 10 to 20 bucks for the domain. So, but these are other expenses that you just, and I mean, I guess you don't necessarily need a website when you start out, but for us, we kind of want it. I could speak for myself. I kind of wanted a website just so that way, number one, I feel like it makes us look more professional. And number two, you could put, it's basically like marketing yourself. You could just say like, hey, go to my website. All of our information's on there.
Yep. And then coming from
So,
the technology world, that's one of our strong suits of Josh and I, and understanding technology and how convenient it is. Also, getting contracts signed for vendors that signs, a contract with us, we use DocuSign, another non-sponsor. Instead of, we'll send the PDF to your email and download it and sign in and print it and upload it on their end and print it and get it to us. You think that is that convenient for the vendor? No, we try to make it simple and convenient. And that's another cost, and there's a lot of hidden costs that people don't count. We have a verified check on Instagram to make us look official. That's a cost. It's a small cost, but it's a cost,
Yeah.
So go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, even what we're recording this on, I mean, this is a cost to be able to record this podcast. Like, this isn't free either. So it's just all these little things that you just don't even think about. And a lot of them, I will say, a lot of them are very minimal, like payments. So you're not really thinking about it. But eventually all these little payments add up and you're like, why, how am I spending this much money on this?
I can't harp on this enough. And this is one thing that Josh and I had to come to agreement on partnering, is that stay organized. The Google Sheets, the Excel sheets need to be organized. Every receipt we have a folder for it, a physical folder and a virtual folder. I stay organized because end of the day, this is a numbers game. And end of the day, you need to know your guys' margin. Are you taking a loss on a show? Are you making money at the show, or are you breaking even at the show? Regardless if it's a loss, breaking even, or making a dollar profit, it has to be recorded, because not only for the IRS, the state, whatever, but as a company. So down the line, when you're big enough and you get some real investors that want to buy equity in your company, or some real players in this space, we're not going to be, I think we made money these last 5 shows. I'm not sure, how unprofessional that is. Once you guys get into these meetings, it's about money. These board meetings, it's about your numbers. Is your numbers on par? Does your numbers make sense? These guys are smart with their money. They're not just going to toss it to you. They want to know every cent where it's going to go and how it's going to be spent. And I want to say there's once a week, probably dozen times a month, Josh and I go over numbers. Hey, did you fill out the Excel sheet? Did you fill the Google sheet? And it's not to micromanage one another. It's to hold accountable. Man, let me get that in there. And that's one thing about Josh and I. When Josh tells me something, or I tell Josh something, it's not to micromanage. It's just to hold yourself accountable, because you said you were going to do that. We expect you to do that. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So I guess to kind of like piggyback off that, like, I mean, we both came, so I guess we both kind of had similar but not exact paths to where we are now, where we were collectors turned into resellers, turned into now card show producers, I guess, or promoters, or whatever you can say. Doing reselling, I started out, I mean, you remember, I started out documenting every single order that I ever had on an Excel sheet.
what did I
And
tell
it was
you?
like,
Good luck,
dude, it was it was crazy. Like, I don't know why, and I don't know how I had this much time on my hands or where that time went. But I was like documenting every single card within an order, and it was crazy. And then I was just sitting there one day, and I was like, "This is too much. Like, I need to tone it back." But then I toned it back too far, and then I stopped doing it. But it's a little bit different. Like, definitely with this, because of how much more you're spending, how much more potential there is to be made. Excel sheets and like revenue sheets, or how whatever you want to call them, they are absolute lifesavers. Because I mean, even just in reselling, I'm like, how much did I really spend on inventory to replenish my store last month? I don't know. But with this, you can't. You got to be like, well, how much is the website cost? How much was Zen Business this month? How much was my seller's permit? How much was my insurance? How much did I have to spend for a deposit on this venue? Like, you have to know all of your numbers. And like you were saying, sponsors, anybody who wants to like be a partner with you, anybody who wants to like be affiliated with the business. Ultimately, you could be cool with people, but business, it's what can you do for me? Like, why should I go with you and not this other guy? Like, what do your numbers look like? What can you provide me? So you really need to know what you're talking about when you go sit into those meetings.
And Josh can attest to this, when we sit down with, vendors, we know some of them are just blowing smoke up our butt or shooting at the hip, lying about something.
Mhm.
And these are how vice versa, when we go into these, sponsorship deals, or these, we do our sales pitch to somebody, they know when somebody's just blowing smoke, that these are not accurate numbers. But when you have the data to prove it, and then you can show them the data in real time, then they're like, oh, these guys are on point. And it's easy to start organizing now when you're small than when you're huge and trying to go back and organize. It's going to be a cluster, I totally think so. To answer your guys' question, yes, Josh and I know every cent from this business is going, and how much every dollar, how much this company has made already, and where it was spent, and where it's been gone, and where it's going. The money that we have in our bank, we already know where it's going to be allocated at. Also, too, that being said, guys, I know you guys are not thinking about this right now, but every show that you guys do, or everything you make, set aside 30% for the IRS. So when they come knocking for their cut, you have it on deck. You can
Mhm.
have it somewhere in another savings account, somewhere in a different space, but set aside that money and don't play with the IRS.
Yep, because that's one thing that could definitely shut you down pretty quick.
And
But
then,
I guess we could pivot now. Oh, go ahead.
hold on one more time. The one expense that Josh and I didn't think of is when you start an LLC, you get this thing called a franchise tax in your fourth month in. We haven't received that yet because it's only hasn't even been a month. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. Hasn't been a month, but we'll get a bill from the franchise tax board for $800 just to do business in the state of California. Regardless if you made a penny or not, they want their money. So, and that's each year. So next year in 2027, that's due I think in April. Right off the rip, they want their cut of $800 on top of the taxes that you filed. So
Mhm.
plan accordingly, guys.
Yep. Yeah, they can definitely. It's like one of those things too that it's like always in the back of your mind, like taxes. Like you always know you're gonna have to pay it, but you never really know how much it's gonna be or like when it's actually due. So it's just better to have that saved away, so that way if the unexpected does happen and they send you a bill saying you owe us this much, you're not stressing about it. You're like, okay, well, thank God I have it here.
Mhm.
But I was going to pivot into kind of like the next section because we kind of talked about starting the business, expenses. Now we could kind of go into the fun stuff, I guess you could call it, of booking a space, the marketing, the getting the vendors, getting the customers to come, uh, and like kind of other fun things that you could plan within a card show in total that kind of make you separate from everybody else, or like gives people the reason to want to come to your show. I could kind of start off with the venue aspect of it, just because I know we got kind of a little bit of a hookup because of my military experience. But if you guys find like buildings or like halls or whatever, a lot of them will give you discounts if you live in their area. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but like the place that we booked, would give you a 15% discount if you just lived within their district. Or if you're a veteran and you can find a veterans hall, most of the time they'll give you a discount. The one we booked gives you a 25% discount. So it like there's ways to book venues that can be cheap. The hardest part for us on booking a venue, I would say, is figuring out how big of a space we wanted. It's hard when you first start because you don't know, like, number one, how many vendors are we going to be able to get? Like, how big of a room do we need? Then it's okay, if we have this many vendors, how many people are going to show up? Like, because that's a big complaint you get going to card shows is there's not enough space, like for vendors and for the people that are coming to the show. So you need to kind of, the way I looked at it was, we think we would need this room. Let's go one room bigger. And then that's where we'll be comfortable at. So, but that's another expense in a card show. Obviously that one you're going to know about because you need a place to hold your card show. So, but I don't know if you have any words on venues or anything that you want to talk about with that.
I mean, to piggyback off Josh on the discounts, guys, don't be afraid to ask for discounts or trade work. Right now, when you're starting out a business, meaning trading work, say, hey, I'll let you guys vend if you trade me X, Also, that being said, when you guys, when the promoter or the event planner, whatever you guys want to call this right here, they're playing it safe. So that's why sometimes the venue is a lot smaller and it's crammed, or the venue is big, but there's not enough people. So the promoter is going to play it safe always 100% of the time, due to the fact that he or she might not recoup the money that they're forking out. So that's why they go small in that space. End of the day, it's all a numbers game, and it's all about revenue and business. And, that's all I have to say on that part. Just don't be afraid to trade work and ask for discounts. Those are going to be your best friends in this business.
Yep. I would kind of I guess we could just use that as a segue into getting vendors and like kind of marketing, I guess you can say. The little things that you don't realize how expensive they are. Flyers, business cards, running ads on Facebook, running ads on Instagram. Like these little things to just market. I mean, even just getting your ad in like the local newspaper, I think in Fresno it's like $50. Like it's actually kind of crazy how much you can spend on marketing and not even realize how expensive it is. I think to make 1,000 flyers for one of our shows, it was almost $200. So it's very costly, but it's definitely something you need to do. Talking about marketing, one of the biggest things that I've realized has helped us a lot was getting that blue check mark on our Instagram page. Reaching out to people on Instagram, like especially if you want any celebrities or like athletes or any like big name companies that you're trying to get, we would reach out to these people and it would just be like left on red. As soon as one day we were just like, what does this blue check mark do for us? And we went out and got the free trial literally within maybe 2 hours. Some of those people we had reached out to sent us messages back because we had a blue check mark now. So it was kind of like these little things can make such a big difference in a company, but they're always at a cost. So do you have anything that I'm forgetting with marketing? Like it's just, to me, marketing's the biggest aspect. I mean, why do vendors want to come to your show if you're not even going to market it? Like they know nobody's going to show up to buy their cards. So marketing is easily, venue and marketing, I would say, are the two biggest priorities. And then as far as your show goes, vendors is the biggest priority, because without vendors, you ain't having a show.
I can add a couple on there. A lot of people are not thinking about this. You traveling to shows that costs gas, that costs entry fees.
Mhm.
By you reaching out and networking with other venues, other show promoters, trying to cross promote, trying to talk to their vendors at their own shows. There's two ways you can go about it. One, you can do the respectful way, DM them, find out who's putting the show on in your local neighborhood or the area you're gonna be hosting at. You can DM them, shoot them let them know like, hey, is it cool if I come and talk to the vendors? I have a show. Or you can just show up, man, pop up and muscle your way through. That being said, either way, you're going to get a yes or a no. That's it, And when
Sometimes you might get a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I'm just being PG-13.
Yeah.
But normally, when you do get a little slack for it, just be respectful and go the other way. Take the high road. The high road sucks at that moment, but you're gonna win in the end. And coming from experience, speaking on our behalf, that has happened. When we reach out to vendors, we got a flat left on red, we got a flat no, or we got a whole laundry list of how this is disrespectful. And there's some times where we just, popped up and got invited, and next it would led to another show, and those guys are cool, and we're gonna remember those guys, and we're gonna help those guys out. It's for the other guys, I don't know, man. We'll cross that bridge when it comes, But
Yeah.
also, too, guys, don't burn your guys' bridge right off the rip. Try to work with everyone. Don't just shut people off because you don't like them or what you had a bad encounter. Maybe they're just having a bad day at that moment, but don't cut your bridge just yet. Also make friends in this space, network. Networking is your best friend. Meet people. You have anything to add to that, Josh?
Yeah. The one thing that I thought about when you were talking about this is don't be afraid to ask somebody else who's doing something similar to what you want to do for help or advice, or like you were saying, if we ask another card show producer, like, hey, do you mind if we come in and network? Like, don't be afraid to do that. Everybody started as the new person in wherever they were at before they got to being a bigger show. So as we talked about earlier with egos, maybe some people will grow an ego as they get bigger, but for the most part, I feel like most people are pretty chill, and they remember where they came from. So I would say the majority of the time we get yeses more than we get nos when we ask. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out to people and just shoot. And then like we said, the worst you're going to get is a no. Sometimes you get a little bit more than a no, but you just let it roll off, and you just say, okay, thanks for your input, and you just move on. One thing I forgot about with the venue, if we circle back to that, we put the pin in for Q2, but we're going to take that out, and we're circling back. Tables and chairs. Make sure you account for having to have tables and chairs if the venue does not provide it for you. Talking to a lot of vendors do have their own tables and chairs, but some don't. So if your venue also doesn't provide tables and chairs, make sure you let them know, like, hey, if you have a table, if you have your chairs, bring it. Maybe give them a discount since they're bringing their own stuff, or say, hey, we don't have tables and chairs, but I can provide you one. Maybe you say like, I'll do it for an extra fee or whatever. But that's one thing that you definitely got to think about with the venue cost as well.
Also,
I guess
go ahead. But well, also,
dang, my allergies.
No, it's all right, man. Also, too, guys, if you're not familiar with that venue, even if you are familiar with that venue, and you're just looking pictures on their website, have eyes actually on the venue. Personally, look for plugs. You're gonna have that one vendor that wants to have plugs, or you might schedule a DJ. Find plugs and have if you're gonna have catering, ask your caterer if he needs a kitchen or not, and charge accordingly for that. But yeah, this pay attention to the small details.
Mm-hmm. Most places too will require you to have insurance for your show. So we have, I think, what was it like almost $200 for us to have insurance for one day for our show.
Yeah, a
So
million. It's a million minimum of $1 million deductible. Not deductible. Insurance policy.
yep. And then also, if you're going to have alcohol, at least with the venue that we booked, I can't speak for all venues, but if you have alcohol, they make it to where you have a security at the event. So ours would have provide security if we didn't have it, but we have our own security. So those are just other expenses that come in with the venues that if you didn't realize that you would need to. But I can't. I'm sure we're forgetting something. I'm sure there's something else that is out there that we forgot about. But I can't think of it. Is there anything else business related that you can think of? We covered venues, we covered marketing. We could talk about getting. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit with getting vendors.
And
We talked about.
if you're gonna start a business, especially a promotion business and a card business, decide how you want to run your business. Meaning the event. Do you want to be like every other business that just throws TCG, sports, comics all in one show? Or do you want to separate the show? And the reason why I'm saying this is because when you talk to vendors, there's a lot more TCG guys than sports guys. I mean, the ones we're coming across in the Central Valley. I don't know. I don't know about you, Josh, but plan accordingly. Do that. Does the sports need a smaller venue than the TCG guys? Does they need a bigger one? So, I mean, that's all I said. We could probably go in detail in another episode on that here.
Yeah, and I think I think that all of the stuff that we're talking about too will be a lot easier to go more in depth with once our show happens, because then we'll have the hindsight on everything. Like, should we have had this? Should we have had that? But yeah, I would say that we kind of talked about everything that I could think about for business related as of right now,
Yeah, same here.
on things that I didn't think that we would need. If anything, I would say we could talk more about like we're planning on having raffles and giveaways and stuff like that. Those are things that are also coming out of pocket. And then things tied with that as well is you gotta buy the prizes, you gotta buy the raffle tickets, you gotta buy the little spinning thing to spin your tickets. Like, and then how many are you having? Are you having all
Gotta
the
have
tickets
staff.
for the yep, staff? I mean, luckily we have interns who just want to ride our coattails, but it's like eventually we're gonna have to pay whenever this business is making money, unless they'll just work for free for the rest of their life, which I doubt. But it's crazy that in doing this now, I definitely see why not everybody does it, because it don't get me wrong, it could be very lucrative. Like, there's a reason why there's a Fanatics Fest. There's a reason why there's the National Card Convention. There's a reason why there's
West
the
Coast.
big one in Anaheim. I'm forgetting the name. Yeah, oh yeah, West Coast Collectibles. Because there is money to be made in this space. It's just make sure you do your research before just jumping straight in, because there's a lot of costs that you just don't think about.
There's Comic Con. There's all kinds of stuff, man.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah,
So, I mean, other than that, I mean, I know we're
hitting the
like
40
around
mark.
40 minutes on time, right? Yeah. If you want to talk about like maybe some goals you have, whether it be this business, the podcast, your reselling business, anything else, any goals you want to talk about?
Yeah, definitely. So since we're still talking about the hobby circuit, I can start with that. I think the goals that Josh and I have are realistic. Obviously, this being transparent, I think we're gonna start, seeing a turnaround in maybe show 3 or show 4. Be realistic with your goals. If you make money in your first show, congratulations, man. It's very, I don't want to say rare to do, but it's anything's possible.
Hmm.
you know, Also growing the show to being bigger and better each time we do a show. Learn from the past shows and, hear out what the audience, does like, don't like, and then what the vendors obviously do like and don't like. And,
Hmm.
also to be realistic, you're not going to please everyone. you're going to have some sort of negative comment on the vendor side and some negative comment on the customer side. And we haven't even did a show yet and we already have negative comments. I mean, so just it's going to probably be more when we get to the show. Also for the podcast, we're just going to grow too. The podcast, the reason why we built the podcast at the same time as building our actual business of the hobby circuit is to cross promote. I think it would be dumb enough if we didn't explore that idea. And especially two guys that always talk shop anyways. Might as well just get it on recording. I said that in the last episode you guys listened to. I mean, it's true. We're talking about things that we enjoy to do and brings us joy. And then if you have an eBay store or you're selling cards on the side, like Josh and I, we sell cards on the side. That's how we came together. We actually started at the same time. So we kind of grew our card store together. I did mostly sports. He did both, and learning what worked for him and what worked for me and, trading game. I want, don't abandon your cards, what's bringing you income still, I think that's all I have to say on my end. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I would say definitely goals would be growing our card show is always going to be I feel like is always going to be the number one goal. Growing anything is always the number one goal. If you're not growing, like, what's the point of even doing it? You know what I mean? I mean, and growing, when I say growing too, I mean like growing monetarily. Dude, I can't even say that word. Growing money wise and growing like as a person, growing in your I don't even know, just growing in general. It's like I had it. I promise you. It's late and my
No,
mind
I
is not
believe it.
working
I
too well
saw
right
it.
now. Yeah, but I mean, it's just there was a quote. I'm probably gonna screw it up, but it was like if you're not growing, you're doing yourself like a disservice, pretty much. So for the hobby circuit, it's definitely what did we do wrong? I feel like even if people come up and say, "Dude, your show was the best show I've ever been to. It was perfect. Everything that I've ever wanted was there. I don't see how it could ever get better." I'm gonna be looking. I'm gonna be looking for ways to make it better. There's always a little something that could always be improved, and if you literally can't find something to be improved, then maybe at that point we branch out to something else, because I always feel like there's always something, for the podcast. Obviously we want to get better. I feel like we're entertaining, but I feel like we could be more entertaining. It'll be easier for us to talk about things as we get more comfortable in doing this, as the technical difficulties we have improve. And then as far as card reselling, at first it's weird. My goals kind of changed with that one. It was a way to make money and possibly get out of the job that I was in to have more time with the family. But now it's kind of, my goals are, let's grow this to put the money in towards the hobby circuit, and let's get all the funding for that we need. So I would say those are my goals, is just growing the hobby circuit, getting more comfortable, and growing the podcast, and then selling as much as I can on reselling to put back into both of these endeavors that we have.
Yep. Couldn't have said any better, brother.
Yep. But all right, I think we're just under the 50-minute mark now, so we could call it there until the next episode. So I'll see you on the next one, and then whoever's watching this will see us on the next one. So
For sure. Don't forget
see ya.
to like, subscribe,
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
us on the Hustle and the Hobby Instagram, the Hobby Circuit on Instagram. We're on X, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. Find us. Oh, YouTube.
We used to be on YouTube until they canceled us
Yeah.
for
Dang,
some reason.
they already canceled us.
Yeah, but they brought us back. Yeah, they already brought us back though, so we're good. You can find us on there again.
All right, later, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
All right, later. See ya.
See ya.